check, measure and cut. In this video we'll look at how to check measure the DIY ecoGlaze sets to correct size for a great fit and a beautiful job. We'll also show you how to work out the size of the acrylic panel you will need after your sets have been installed. Before we get started, let's look at the tools you'll need. A metric measuring tape, a sharp pencil, a small amount of blue tack, check measuring method. We're going to measure the internal length of each light, bottom, top, left and right. Because it's difficult to get an accurate reading into both corners of a window just with a measuring tape, we're going to use one of the spaces included in your DIY ecoGlaze installation kit, which is exactly 100mm long, butted into one corner to get a more accurate reading. Simply measure from one corner to the other corner and read off the measuring tape. Then check the last digit of the measurement by reading that off the edge of the spacer. It's handy to add a little blue tack to the back of the spacer to hold it in place when taking the side and top measurements.
Well, we've seen how to get a really accurate measurement of the exposed glass for fixed glazing using the angles that come with the installation kit. But how do we get the measurement for on-sash and for in-sash? Well, each of these, there are 3 possible common moulding configurations. And for on-sash, the most common is the square moulding. And as you can see there, with the square moulding, we are measuring the actual exposed glass. And we can do that pretty simply just by measuring from moulding edge to moulding edge. Usually there's no need to use the angles for that. However, if we've got the decorative kind of mouldings, then we're not measuring the exposed glass, we're actually measuring the nearest flat surface to the glass. Now, this is always the case with on-sash, except for the square mouldings that happens to be the edge, the actual exposed glass. But as you can see with the decorative mouldings, it's not the actual exposed glass, it's the nearest flat surface. And so again, that's pretty easily done with a measuring tape just from edge to edge of the mouldings. The most difficult one, and fortunately the rarest one, is the pencil round. So you can see that where it's pencil round, it's really difficult to know where it actually pencil round finishes. So if you've got a straight edge, you can use that to put a couple of pencil marks on the mouldings and then just measure pencil mark to pencil mark. Okay, that's the easiest way to do the pencil round. In the case of in-sash, we are always measuring the exposed glass, regardless of what moulding configuration you have. So it's reasonably unusual to have the square cut mouldings for in-sash because we're thinking about like double windows and sliding doors. So sometimes sliding doors have these kinds of mouldings. Again, you could just measure from edge to edge. But in the case of a decorative moulding, which is pretty common for double hung windows, you're actually going to need to measure the exposed glass. You can see how that's different from on-sash. And to do that, you really do need to use the angles that come in the installation kit in order to get an accurate measurement. And pretty unusual to have the pencil round, but again, if you do have that, again, use the angles in order to get a really accurate measurement of the exposed glass.
Recording your measurements. You will have a DIY ecoGlaze fixed measure and cut form included in your DIY ecoGlaze fixed set. If that's not enough space for the lights you are retrofitting, download and print more forms. You will find a link to this form in the installation email that was sent to you after ordering, as well as the ecoGlaze website. Begin by writing in the room/window and light identifier. For example, the room/window might be dining/left. and the light identifier might be top left. Then we need to take 4 different measurements for each light. You will need the internal length of each light, bottom, top, left and right. Record each measurement as you go, and remember you're recording in millimeters. Once you have all 4 measurements, simply follow the instructions on the DIY ecoGlaze fixed measure and cut form to work out the length you need for the fixed angles, the fixed mouldings and the acrylic panel. The form tells you the number of millimeters to subtract from each measurement for each component. It's good practice to measure twice.
For the ecoGlaze on-sash mouldings, the process is the same. The only difference this time is that on-sash mouldings do not have the fixed angles and require you to add to your measured sizes instead of subtracting from them. Follow the instructions on the on-sash check, measure and cut form to find your moulding cut sizes and also the acrylic cut size that you will need.